Greetings, nerds. This is Being a Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Oh, well, I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. I don't know.
Well, look, continue. You went from great to fine to okay. So I'll average it out and say you're doing fine.
Okay. I'm doing fine. Last week we took a pause and now we're back, and I feel like shows keep dropping and shows also keep getting canceled. As you just told me 2 minutes ago, Cops got canceled in the wake of George Floyd's murder.
Yeah. So the Paramount Network did cancel Cops. It's been around for 31 years. Didn't realize that the show has just been on for that long. I didn't realize I hadn't watched it in years. But whenever I come across it on cable, I thought it was just loops of old reruns of shows. But yeah, that one. And also I think Live PD stopped airing as well, which is, I think it comes on A&E or one of the cable networks. But yeah, they pulled the plug on the show.
Yeah. And also, Gone with the Wind has been removed from HBO due to its historical context. So a lot of changes in programming and services, which is interesting because right now those services is where people are finding entertainment due to COVID-19 and everything, and things slowly transitioning back to quote unquote normal, whatever that will be in the next few months. But it's some very strategic moves, and also I think some very needed moves, but we'll see.
Yeah, the Going with the Wind thing. Yeah, I know a lot of, reading the comments and stuff, people are like losing their shit. But I mean, they are going to return the show to HBO, the movie to HBOMax. It's just, I think they are, but again, I think they'll put a disclaimer on there to frame it in its proper context, because it does give this glorified, overly romanticized notion of the South during the Civil War, but during that time period. So I think on that one, I think that was a good move, and it doesn't diminish its historical value as far as film. I mean, it is one of the top grossers prior to Endgame and Avatar. So yeah, but I think we're in 2020. I mean, we're in a new world now, and I think if anything, the last few weeks have shown us that we have to have some hard conversations, and I think it's good for HBO Max to do this.
Yeah, but I think you are right, where because of that movie has built itself a reputation in Hollywood for other purposes, and I frankly only remember one line, and I said frankly on purpose. But from that movie, and I've only seen it one time. I fell asleep during it, as I do with most movies from that era. It's just not my cup of tea, but I don't know. In other news that it's kind of along the same lines, we also got word this week that Hartley Sawyer was fired from The Flash amidst racist, sexist, and homophobic tweets being released from over the past decade. And you know what? I will say on our show what I told you, Will. I knew there was a reason why I had no interest in Ralph and Sue this past season. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was just like, dang, art imitating life or something. Is that why he was so so comfortable with some of the, with the characters' misogyny early on, or what? But it's been a very interesting thing to see how the fandom has reacted to this. And it really is like a window into folks' thoughts and feelings on certain things. And some people, a lot of, I saw things where people were high-fiving, like, yeah, we exposed him for who he is. Some people were like, he's grown, give him a break. So when I saw, I mentioned to you earlier in the week that I saw this starting to percolate around the end of May on some of the Flash timelines, and people referencing these tweets, and I saw them, and I saw where Hartley canceled his Twitter page, and then of course you can go to our page and see some of the things that he tweeted out years ago. But I mean, it was basically like, saying if I had a wife, I'd beat her, LOL, and trying to make very poor taste and bad jokes. And so, I mean, yeah, it was a while ago. But he was an adult, and people are held responsible for it. And I think of Roseanne with her comments and losing her show. Kevin Hart. I mean, so this is not just a white thing. I mean, Kevin Hart, because of some old bits that he did in years past, was pulled from the Oscars. So shows, this is a brand, and this show has a following and an image that they want to protect. And if stuff like that shows up, I think they were well within their rights to dismiss him from the show. And
right. It's kind of also that he's been on now for a few seasons, and they're only resurfacing right now. I mean, this really isn't. I didn't find this to be suddenly out of nowhere, because this is the most recent of a slew of people who have been fired from different projects due to tweets and due to their perception on social media. And something that I would say is, it's not our call. We don't know him in real life. We know what he put out on social media. And yes, they were, a lot of the really bad ones were, from what I could tell, very long ago. But I think we have to trust the producers where they do that judgment and saying, was it just he was young and naive? Or is that still the same person he is today, but he's much more savvy with social media? And I think they determined, because they know him and they've been working with him for years now, that, you know what? No, we're going to hold him accountable because he hasn't changed. I don't know if that would have been the outcome had they seen something else. Or the cast reaction. The cast reaction speaks, I think, the most volume to it.
Yeah.
So again, not our call. They did what they thought was in the best interest for their show and for just the culture that they want to build on set, and I applaud them for that.
I'm glad you brought up the cast reaction, because I also, thinking about another situation where this happened, the contrast, James Gunn. So,
exactly.
When he had his old tweets resurface, I mean, everyone, as far as cast members and really came to his defense and was very supportive. Where here, I mean, Grant was very like, I'm shocked, hurt, disappointed. So, and even Stephen Amell chimed in. So of course he steps in it himself sometimes, but even, and I'm sure they talked to Candace and other members of the cast. Clearly, like you said, it was probably one of those things where, and especially given he's a supporting character and not a lead, they made a decision. We're going to move on. So,
yeah, we're going to move on, and we're going to hold people accountable. Yep. Oh man, yeah, I like how you maneuvered around Stephen Amell. You're like, yeah, and Stephen Amell even said, but he's also. And we kind of did miss last week sharing our thoughts, because both of us were very aware of everything going on with Stephen Amell on social media due to that Knocking Point podcast. I don't think we're going to get into it tonight or anything, because that takes hours to unravel.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character post Arrow.
He is
very controversial.
He is. But he
even
did
more controversial than when he was on the show, which is hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but I brought it. He's fresh of mind because he did post a thing on his Instagram this evening where it was a meme of basically it was someone forwarded it to him and talked about how if I don't have to worry about if my kid's going out for a pack of Skittles. It's been something that's been floating around on social media. He posted it, and he said he's going to endeavor to be better on and speak out more on these things. So
Yeah. And you know what? The Arrowverse would not be complete if it also didn't have some kind of scandal going on in terms of writing and production, because we found out amidst everything else going on, they couldn't hold this back or anything, that Batwoman producer is planning on reinventing the show, I should say.
yeah,
They will not be focusing on Kate Kane, so this will not be a recast, although it'll be a restructure around a brand new Batwoman by the name of Riley. And boy, Twitter, as if you don't got enough stuff to yell about, everyone has their opinion. No one agrees. But it is interesting how after that initial statement and getting all of the feedback, now we find out that really this decision came from the advisement of Greg Berlanti, who's the head of the Arrowverse, the creator of all of these shows that we constantly talk about. And it was him who said, don't recast, just reboot.
mm-hmm.
And I think there was something else that came out today, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, there was something that came out today. So actually, I think it was in response to, I guess there was a story that was floating around yesterday or day before about there were plans to kill off Kate Kane, and it was and it was one of the, I don't know, it wasn't from a trade. It was, I think, as far as like Hollywood Reporter, Variety, or any reputable source, it was just a blogger, I believe. And yeah, so as a result of that, the showrunner Caroline came out with a very forceful statement today that, and I'll just read it, a portion of it. As a lesbian who's been working as a writer for the past 15 years, I'm well aware of the bury your gays trope, and I have no interest in participating in it. And then she goes on to say that's why it's important to clarify any information about Kate and recasting her. Like you, I love Kate Kane, and the reason I wanted to do the show. We'll never erase her. In fact, her disappearance will be one of the mysteries of season 2. And that was the real key thing I took away from her statement. So we're not going to get a recast. And just like Bruce Wayne, Kate's going to disappear.
Yeah. I'm still on the fence about if this makes me even more curious about season 2 of Batwoman, or if I'm mad at it. Like, a part of me, I was already completely on board for season 2 of Batwoman,
mm-hmm.
but now I really have no idea what they're going to do, how they're going to achieve this. I do have, and that's something we have to remember. As I said before, we found out the decision came under the advisement of Greg Berlanti. He also put Carolyn in charge of the show, and she really did deliver an excellent season of TV with season 1.
She did.
So I have to have faith that whatever they end up doing, they'll be able to swerve and make it work. And if it doesn't, we tend to just love to talk about things we hate. So
yeah. Well, either way, we'll have content. It's a win-win for us.
I mean, it might go the way of Supergirl, and we might stop watching halfway through. But who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Exactly. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm still in the camp of, treat us like adults here. We know what happened, and honor. Yeah, yes, I get Greg's point of trying to honor Ruby's work and that kind of thing, but at the same time, part of the reason why season 1 worked so well is because of the relationships and the story that they built up. Yes,
Exactly.
Yes, Ruby was a big part of that as far as how, especially as she grew with the character over the course of the season. It seemed to get more and more comfortable as the season progressed, even though at least on camera, at least off camera, she, obviously we know she wasn't. But um, but I think, when you have characters like Rachel Skarsten, as far as Alice and the story they built up with Kate and Alice, you could, I mean, that's why they do screen tests and chemistry tests with actors and actresses, and they could bring someone in who could pick up that story, and I think carry it forward, because that was what got me invested in the show. Not Ruby Rose, but it was a character that they built and the story that they built. So I'm of the opinion story is what matters. And
Right.
and so as a viewer, I'm really worried because I was really bought into this, and now I'm like, okay, now I got to get reinvested in a show with this recasting reboot, with this recast, and I just don't know. It may work, it may not. We've seen situations where shows lose characters or lose actors, and I think like NYPD Blue. I mean, they think they would, the lead leaves, and then they bring in Jimmy Smits, and they picked up a beat and went on forward. But they had a very strong. But again, it was a very strong supporting cast, which this show does have. But I think the story on top of the strong supporting cast is what made this first season work so well.
Right. A show that comes to my mind whenever we talk about recasting is Parks and Rec, because I was late to the party on that show, and season 1, which I binged, very fundamentally a different show than season 2. And some of the more prominent characters of that series did not even get introduced until the very end of season 2. So I think that there is a way. Now, granted, that's a sitcom. We're talking about a comic book show, which is basically a soap opera. And to your point, it's all about relationships. And I 100% agree that viewers, most of us, it wasn't Ruby Rose. It was Kate Kane. That is who we wanted to follow. That's the person whose story kind of brought us in, and all of these intricate dynamics that involved to lead us into that finale and to prepare us for the next chapter. Now we're not going to get that chapter, or that chapter is going to remain a quote unquote mystery. I got enough mystery in my life.
Yeah.
But then again, I just, as someone who's always very interested in the production side of entertainment and the writers and how things happen, I'm still curious. I guess for whatever reason, I'm not fearful. I'm just curious about what's going to happen and how they're going to pull this off. I don't want to know anymore about the decisions that are being made right now. I want to give them time and space to write, because that's what they really need to do, because production will start before they know it.
Yeah.
And
I was reading.
Hopefully we don't have COVID-20 to come and disrupt the party.
Right. Yeah, I did see where Vancouver was getting close to starting to allow productions to start up again in the city. So, and I know LA County, I think, was doing that as well. So things will be get back in production before we know it. And in January 2021 will be here very soon. So, I think you're right. I think fearful is maybe not the right feeling at this point. But again, as I mentioned before, I think your point is well taken, that give them space to do what they need to do, and then we'll see the results of it next year.
Yeah. Things that I have no interest in seeing the result as Space Force. We got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Will and I were very excited.
We were.
We thought that Space Force was going to be a good show. Turns out we were wrong.
Yeah.
I made it, I think, to episode 4.
Okay.
And the funny thing about Space Force, it wasn't funny in my opinion. Steve Carell, he's just old. And I honestly felt like he didn't even want to be there because the way he was delivering his lines, it just felt like someone aged his body and told him, act exactly how you did in those Anchorman movies. Or act how you did, do your set from about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It just, this show was so dry and just fell so flat for me. I couldn't get through it. It turned into white noise and I did not care at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I made it to episode 5, and I yeah, it was. I will say I did laugh out loud with episode 3. There were some bits in it that I did find funny, but you're right. I mean, it felt like the shadow of the shadow of the shadow of the Office. Because
of the shadow of the Office,
yeah,
of the UK office of
yeah,
that shadow. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because at some points it was like, okay, this is like where you have, you know, it was like Steve Carell, and as far as his character was just like, it was just really bad. I don't know if they were trying to be a farce. I mean, it was clearly trying to be a farce of the Space Force new service and stuff and all, and then there were some funny bits with the whole Joint Chiefs of Staff, but after a while it got very tiresome with the generals, basically, in a man measuring contest as far as who. I mean that. I mean. And it was just hard to get through. I mean, I was going to be honest. It was hard to get through, and I was really trying to like it. But as I said, really the only episode where it really felt like I did have some honest laughter was the 3rd episode. And the others, I was just like, I turned it to my wife. We were watching, and I was like, man, you're just squandering such great talent here with Steve Carell, and John Malkovich and Jane Lynch.
John Malkovich was on this show.
Yeah.
John Malkovich was on this show.
Right.
It was so weird.
Yes.
But thanks for bringing up the talent point, because it's funny how I stopped watching this show and I found myself suddenly, I had to do it, and I binged the complete season of The Morning Show on Apple TV.
Oh, okay. How was that?
With Steve Carell. And Steve Carell, it's like night and day.
Huh.
He owns, well, he doesn't own it because Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, and they have a supporting cast that is really good too. But his performance, man, he nailed it. And it was so interesting because the performance he gives on that show, when you compare it to Space Force, it goes back to what I just said about he knew the writing was bad on Space Force because he delivered on The Morning Show. In that show, it was good. I don't think it needed to be 10 episodes. There were some beats towards the end where it just started to get predictable. However, I do appreciate that there are some scenes that I think will be sketched in my mind for a good year, because it is so to the point about what sexual harassment in the workplace actually does to both men and women. And the people, the Harvey Weinsteins of the world and all of those bastards, it's not just how they do it,
Hmm.
in what they do or their actions, but it's that manipulation of everything and everyone, and they really fleshed all of that out.
Huh.
So it was good, and I completely understand why it first dropped in November and everybody was so excited about it, because it's very much, have you ever seen the show The Newsroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it is it's it's another version of The Newsroom,
Okay.
because they play off of recent events and everything. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I obviously have Apple TV, but I do remember a lot of what you just said. It was part of that buzz when it first dropped, and I think, yeah, as far as one of the standout shows from that platform. So uh, maybe you have to check it out sometime.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was just bored and I watched it,
Yeah.
and I started watching Defending Jacob last night, and I figured out I'm not really a fan of the murder mysteries, because I stopped watching it, and I might you're gonna roll your eyes and say, "So, Sarah," but I might just watch the last episode. But it's very similar to when I watch documentaries. I feel as if there is someone, or the editor has all the power,
Right.
and they cut to certain scenes, and it never feels natural,
Okay.
because they want to build this who done it, and it just, I don't know, it's not engaging to me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I haven't. There's some of those true crime dramas and docu uh, shows like that. Yeah, I have to definitely be in the right frame of mind to watch them, to be engaged with them. But yeah, I haven't. Yeah, this week has been really, after Space Force or Space Farce, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
I was just like, okay, maybe just take a little break from stuff, and just sort of be very very judicious as far as like picking up anything new for a little bit. But
Right.
yeah, but yeah, I'm again, I may give the next episode or two of Space Force a try, just to, yeah, just see if it gets any better. But you know, this is another, Greg Daniels. We talked about Upload a couple weeks ago, and where that series, has some good moments. This one, it was is a disappointment, and it's really sad too. I mean, because Greg Daniels and Steve Carell are both the producers and are behind this, but it seemed like all the energy went to the setup, and not the delivery.
Right. Right. Well, there's no relationship.
Hmm.
To your point about Upload, and I forgot about that fact with Greg Daniels. And funny how both shows, I thought the comedy were the weak parts.
Yeah.
um, but in Upload, when we were talking about it a few weeks ago, we both said that connection between Robbie Amel's character and the angel, and the actress who I forget her name, but her portrayal, and really the viewer seeing everything from her eyes, and all of these characters really helped
Right.
keep the viewers engaged. Well, Space Force, it doesn't really have that. I mean,
No.
you could say the father-daughter relationship, but there were plenty of episodes where they hardly interacted, and it just, there were so many things missing
Hmm.
from it,
Yeah, and then they were.
that I
Yeah.
feel like they calculated the equation completely wrong. But
Right.
um, I do have the show that I'm actually excited to talk about with you this
Okay.
week.
Okay.
And wait for it, guys, because I'm finally excited to talk about Stargirl.
Oh yes.
I'm not
Yes.
sold on the series, but I have wanted to talk to you about it,
You,
especially last week.
yeah, yeah. You teased it whenever we did statement recording last week, and I've been like waiting to see what you had to say. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I'm a hush and let you do it.
Well, the episode that we were going to talk about last week, and I watched it, and the thing that blew my mind was they actually killed a kid.
Yeah, they went there.
They went there. And I honestly don't know if any of the other shows that we cover that are in this Arrowverse, this DC verse, have really gone there. And they did. And then it escalated because they not only killed the kid, they killed the father, they destroyed this family, and they had the villain do it.
Yeah.
To really strengthen that idea that this is a menacing person who goes after his own team.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so smart. And I appreciated it because in other shows we cover, we've commented often when they don't raise the stakes about why this villain, we should be afraid of him. Yeah. Or we should be fearful of the potential or the dynamic between the hero and the villain. Like, those are very crucial things to establish. And in this episode, Jordan just skyrocketed to 1,000%. Now, I still have my issues with Courtney. And this episode also highlighted it. Because despite watching this kid die and the literal danger, like unmistakable danger, she not only put herself in, but in Pat in, she still doesn't get it.
Yeah, but I think this episode helps to help her begin to get it, because with the we always you gotta always have the bus in peril in these superhero, right. And so and this time it wasn't due to her making that the bus was actually in peril. It was basically Jordan realizing that they're coming back on the trip, and he was using this as a way to raise the stakes and get Zarek to get back into the game. I mean, because earlier in the episode there was this moment between Icicle, Jordan, and the wizard Zarek, where they were discussing old times, and basically we see how Jordan has come back to Blue Valley he's trying to gentrify the town, and basically Zarek's there as a prop to execute execute whatever New America plan is, and they have they have that conversation on the steps about what would you do, and loss and what's the important things, and it's really set that really set things up such that whenever Jordan froze the bridge, and Courtney was up to this point in the series, she's been seeing the fun side of superheroing, and really Brainwave, when you think about it, compared to Jordan, is kind of a bumble. He was kind of a bumbling, creepy dude, but it wasn't that, like you were saying, that menacing. This guy is playing for keeps. He didn't. I didn't get that vibe from Brainwave. With what Jordan did, he's like, I will do whatever it takes, even killing my partner's son, to achieve what I need to do here. And that really, that really provided some real stakes in this, and it's not going to be one of these like, oh, Barry's going to run and reverse it, and, Joey and Zarek are coming back. This is done. This is it.
Yeah, I think that, to your point, Brainwave really came off as a henchman, and just evil and mustache twirling and all of that. And meanwhile, Jordan comes out as the true mastermind, and somebody who not only understands how to manipulate his powers to the best potential, but also knows how to manipulate everyone else in the situation around him, because he sees the political gain and game in everything. And even as now he's kind of rebuilding and accelerating his plans, he still is maneuvering people. I think it's also funny. We all knew it watching the show that Cameron would turn out to be Jordan's son. They set that up since the very beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
There might be a love thing going on, and it might turn into Luke and Leia, where they find out they're related. Fingers crossed.
No.
But then again, based on his reaction to his wife's dying, I don't think they're going to go in that way. Honestly, I get the impression that if they do end up making Starman not Courtney's dad, and to what you explained to me, making it be a villain, I think they're going to save that for season 2.
Yeah. And I think I read somewhere where Jeff Johns said that this episode was the darkest place that that they're going to go this season. So, I don't think they'll do that kind of twist with Courtney and her father, because if you reveal it too soon in the series, then it just cuts off so many creative options down the line. So
right, and they're really making sure we recognize that they are at unlimited creative options, because the follow-up episode, what is that character's name?
Wildcat, yeah, Yolanda.
Wildcat. Yeah, because Courtney's basically assembling her own Justice Society now that Pat, he's such a great stepfather, shows her where all of the toys are hidden.
Exactly.
Good job, Pat. Good job.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny about that, because I guess Pat was trying. I guess he was trying to show her the stakes of the game are real here, and she has Joey's lost and everything, and then Pat lost everyone because of this Justice Society and how dangerous they are, because the Justice Society on Earth 2 is like the best of the best superhero team. You have the Flash, you have their the Green Lantern, Hourman, etc. And they couldn't stop Injustice Society. And again, it just reinforces the stakes of the series and how dangerous Icicle is. And so, it was really, I have to hand it to him. It was really good world building that they did in this episode, in episode 3, and then carrying it forward into episode 4, with Courtney trying to build her team
and make friends.
Even though they did kind of quickly moved on from Joey's death, but that was one of my quibbles with the 4th episode. But there was a lot of other things going on, as far as learning about why Yolanda is the outcast and sits at the quote unquote loser table, and again
with her family.
Was that?
With her family. I mean, that was the big thing with Yolanda, is it's not only that she's at the loser table in school, but they really wanted to make it clear this isn't about her just wanting to be popular again. It's about she's lost her family. And I thought that was a really smart move, because so much of the show is about family, and especially modern families, and learning to accept each other despite flaws or perception. And so I like what they did with her character in the background.
Mhm.
I didn't feel bored with this episode.
No,
I
not at
probably
all.
liked it because it didn't center around Courtney. and it was funny because about I don't know, when Beth pops up, I make a note. What Okay, and I made this honestly way before the end of the episode. It's when we first see Beth, and I was reminded that she's in this high school too.
Mhm.
I wrote a note on the rundown. I wonder which society Beth is a part of. Because it's getting to a point where Courtney, it's not just that she's in high school, but she is a descendant of somebody. And so are all of her classmates. They're all descendants of
Yeah,
these larger than life superheroes.
yeah,
And with a big thing about comic lineage is the passing of the torch, is
mhm.
that legacy involved with the mantles of these characters. And so, in a way, I feel like this is an apology letter for season 1 of Teen Titans. Yes, I went there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I will freely. Yeah, you're right because with the DC
They really
universe,
are.
huh? Yeah, they really are. Give or
I
take a year.
just
Yeah,
think,
yeah, they really are. But yeah, I think I think we know which side Beth will be on. But I wanted to follow up a little bit your point about Yolanda and her loss and again one of the scenes that stands out to me was when she after being with Courtney and being Wildcat and then going back to her home and talking to her family, she's feeling, that renewed sense of confidence that we saw early on in whenever they went back 3 months at the beginning of the episode to show her running for class president. And, she was a popular kid and all that. And I'm glad they did that because it gives a greater depth to what happened with her later in the episode when she tries to say, "Look, I know I messed up and brought shame to the house and all that kind of stuff." Um, but instead of taking the safe route and just like, oh, big hugs, everybody gets back together, they still just did not let them forgive her and stuff. And it really shows the complexities of relationships in life. And 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 also I think it did put a good light as far as Courtney being that open and also calling out who was really in the wrong here. I mean, Yolanda wasn't the person in the wrong. It was actually Hank for like sharing sharing a selfie. Um, to everyone and so so it was dealing with a lot of layers there in that story about victimhood and how society and even sometimes people who you're close to will will not well, blame the wrong person and she made a mistake and so it was a way to help Yolanda okay, I I'm going to have to like build myself back up and I'm going to, there's going to be things that, help. It was almost empowering for her to like, actually for them to like say, no, we're not going to forgive you at this point. She's like, okay, I got it. I got it. But, you know, through this new superhero Wildcat, she's going to, reestablish herself and reestablish her identity. So I think it was a good way to explore some of those things, and not do it in a preachy way, but just in a good storytelling way.
Yeah, I think that she decided she was no longer going to apologize because
Yeah,
she knew she wasn't wrong, and I appreciate that. I thought she was kind of naive to think that all would be right. But even though she didn't get the outcome she wanted from her parents, I think by having said it, she freed herself from that guilt.
Yeah.
And will now probably strive to find redemption, which will be interesting. Find redemption for her family, for her name, under the identity of this alter ego that is Wildcat.
Yeah.
And so that's where they continue this, because it's not like she can go and save somebody and come back and tell mom and dad.
Right.
I mean, it's a secret identity, yet at the same time, she knows that that by her doing that, she is putting more respect for herself, some self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that there's more to explore with Hank. He messed up by showing his friends, but he also didn't release it to the entire school.
Right.
Another person, I wonder what side she's on. What descendant? Like, this show should just be called Descendants. Oh wait, there's a Disney movie franchise already called that. So
Oops.
moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah, this show, it's building. They're making a lot of right choices.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to your point and what we were talking about before with Batwoman, and it wasn't about Ruby Rose, it was all about Kate Kane. I am not sold on Courtney. I am sold on the world building, on this league and this larger story,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sold on the main story of the hero.
Yeah, it's growing on me. Her story is growing on me. I think it's a little different from, because we're growing with her as a superhero, and so but also at the same time, whereas whenever we meet the Oliver Queens and the Sarah Lances and Kate Kanes as adults, we're dealing with a teenager here, and so obviously we're dealing with all the things, so she's grown up as a superhero, but also she's got all the other things going in her life as far as what a teen typically has as well. So so the relationship part, I'm really liking how they are doing the relationship with her and Pat, and getting invested in that as like she is with Pat. It took finding the cosmic staff to realize that her stepdad is not this doofus goofy guy, but now, since that event brought them closer together, I feel like as an audience member, I'm growing as Courtney and Pat's relationship grows as they build this new Justice Society. I'm starting to come along with it, and really in the third episode, even though it went to a dark place, that was kind of the thing that was all the other things that happened in the episode, and her going to see the Justice Society chambers and stuff really has gotten me even more invested in the characters and in the show. So I mean, it was a lot of things. I was engaged from start to finish with both episodes 3 and 4. Whereas episode 1 I was, because it's a pilot. Episode 2, there were some moments I started kind of fading a bit, but not with the last 2.
Agreed. Very, very. I think we're on the same page about this show so far. So, yeah. On a final note about a show that we've always been on the same page about, however, I didn't do my homework.
Well, it just dropped today.
Doom Patrol, the season 2 trailer dropped today, and Will has some thoughts.
I have some thoughts. Oh my God, I can't wait to June 25th. It was great. It was a very exciting trailer. It recaps all the characters and the chief's reasonings for why he did the work on them. We see Cliff and Cliff's, how much I've missed him, Robot Man, and Rita Farr has some nice scenes where she seems to be getting better handle on her abilities, and Cyborg, Cyborg's a straight man to the Misfits, and of course our favorite Crazy Jane. I just there was a funny bit with her and Cyborg that will spoil for Sarah, but whenever you see it, you'll know which one I'm talking about between Crazy Jane and Cyborg. But but just seeing the trailer, and also we do get introduced to the Chief's daughter. It just reminded me why I fell for the show, as far as one of the more imaginative and different and dopest shows in the genre. So it's just a couple weeks away, and we'll be talking about it.
Absolutely. I love me some Doom Patrol, and I hope they knock it out of the park like they did with their first season. If you haven't watched their first season, then you're just dead to me. Hang in there. I will admit, you got to get to about episode 4 before things really start to build and escalate, and you can probably skip 2 and 3. But on that note, Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at Will M. Polk. That's WILLMPOLK.
And you can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. But most importantly, rate, subscribe, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night. Geek out. You're welcome.